Hey folks, Wednesday, November 9th. Welcome to Economic Observations. My name is Chris and I thought we'd have a little fireside chat today. It is a little nippy here in Massachusetts. The weather's getting cold. You know, the COVID numbers continue to rise. Massachusetts governor did a step back from phase 3, step 2 to phase 3, step 1. Nothing's been officially closed yet, but the amount of people that are allowed in have been reduced. So, we're not like California yet, but we have a higher per capita COVID rate in Massachusetts than many other states. I guess we're a small state and we're fairly densely populated on the East Coast, and that's where a majority of the cases are. Okay, today we're going to talk about PPP loans, the tax implications, what some companies did with the money. We're going to talk about food banks and the insecurity that surrounds millions of Americans. We're going to talk about the stimulus bill, and I'm going to answer Alexandria's question. So let's get started. The PPP loans. Many companies we know received way more than the number of employees that they kept on the books. I know I did some research in my little town and I learned that $78 million was given out to 156 small and medium-sized companies and nonprofit organizations. The top 10 recipients of the PPP loans received over $2 million, with the number one company receiving between $5 and $10 million. The exact number was not disclosed. However, I did learn that in order to receive upwards of $5 million, you have to have at least 250 employees on the books. And this construction company is claiming that they kept and retained 177 employees, thus making them ineligible for forgiveness. Many others took much smaller amounts of money and are working hard towards loan forgiveness. But it is a cumbersome process. A lot of paperwork needs to be filed. It has to be filed timely and in the correct manner, and then it has a review process. And we know that not all PPP loans are going to be forgiven. As a matter of fact, I don't know any that have as of yet, but I know many are hopeful. If your loan is forgiven, you write off your expenses against the loan, and that is forgiven. It's like it wipes the expenses versus the loan out. So when you're doing your taxes next year, you cannot claim those same expenses as an expense against any income. So if you used your PPP money for 3 months, and let's say you got $100,000 in, and your expenses, according to the PPP regulations, were $100,000, you wipe that clean and you don't use any of those expenses again when doing your taxes. So in essence, your taxes are going to be based on 9 months. So you're going to pay the balance of profits based on the 9 months. If, however, your PPP loan is not forgiven, you will then have to claim that as income. You can write off your expenses and you will have a huge tax liability left at the end of the year, because all that PPP money you're going to have to claim as income. This company that received $5 to $10 million that didn't have the number of employees on its books to warrant forgiveness, nor did they really have the need to get that much money, because let's face it, the construction business never stopped. It never stopped. So a construction company getting $10 million is a kick in the face to millions of Americans who are suffering. They took that money and they either invested it in the stock market, and this one company I know is a neighbor of a friend of mine. I know they bought 2 houses right next door to her. Yep, you heard me right. They bought 2 houses. What they're doing with the houses, I don't know. They're empty. They had owned the 3rd one previous to this. So they took some of their money and they're investing in real estate, and I'm sure they're investing in the stock market. And that's what thousands of companies did. These PPP loans went to hedge funds, they went to other investment companies, they went to insurance companies, they went to companies that didn't even deserve to get the PPP. They took it, they invested it, and that's why the stock market is raging today. 90% of all companies traded publicly today are overvalued, creating enormous gains for the rich, for people that know how to play the system. And yet people on Main Street are suffering. Congress can't figure out stimulus. Every other country in the world, every westernized country, from Australia to Canada to Germany to France to the UK, you name it, are giving stimulus money to their people. They can afford to lock down because their government is helping them. They're trying to contain the spread of COVID, which is going absolutely bonkers in the United States, because the government is helping its people stay home. And yet now, for the past 6 months, our Congress can't do jack shit to help American people. We know that food banks, who normally feed 300 people or 300 families a week, are now faced with thousands upon thousands in line for food handouts. And our government continues to do nothing. We also know that on average, every renter has a $5,000 debt burden that they have incurred by not being able to afford to pay rent. We also know that utility bills are not being paid. People are going hungry. People are going into debt. And I get that we have to be careful of our spending. I get that we have to worry about who's going to pay this bill and where it's going to go. But I'm sorry, but the government is doing it all wrong. They're giving out PPP loans to companies that don't even need them so they can invest it in the stock market so the rich can get richer while the people on Main Street are suffering. Not everyone has a company. People work for those companies. They got laid off. Maybe instead of giving PPP grants, maybe they should have been giving grants to the people who really need it. Stimulus, $1,200 once back in April, how is that helping American families today? I understand there's a problem with spending. I understand that. But this is every 100-year pandemic. And I'm sorry, what is America? Ask yourself that. What is America? America is its people. And if you don't take care of the people, America has nothing left. I was listening to NPR the other day. They said our recovery economically, even after the vaccine and we can take our masks, is going to take 5 years to recover. It's going to take 5 years to get some of those jobs back. 5 years. What is the government going to do for the American people? Well, we're going to have people living on the highways in Boston in January, or in Missouri, or in Michigan, or any other cold place. Where are these people going to go? And the people need help. And it's high time that, the Grim Reaper over there in the Senate do something about it. He has over 500 bills on his desk that he hasn't even brought to vote. It is absolutely appalling. Absolutely appalling. So Alexandria sends me a message today. It says, wanted to hear your thoughts on Pelosi's recent comments that she basically held off on approving stimulus funds until Biden gets into office. And even though the new stimulus talks are about $1 trillion less, it's okay because we have a new president. Well, yes, we do have a new president. And I think those words spoken are a little too early. And everything in Washington is still very uncertain. It's all contingent on Mitch McConnell. Mitch McConnell has 500 bills that he has not brought to a vote. Bills for the American people, because he just can't be bothered. He is someone who is not doing his job. Yeah, I wish Pelosi in hindsight took some of the deals that were 1.9 trillion with back unemployment for those who need it and stimulus checks. I get it. But the states need money too. Who's going to distribute these vaccines? How many police, firemen, teachers, librarians, everything across the board are going to be let go because the states have no money? How many more jobs are going to be lost across the great United States of America because Moscow Mitch is too concerned with having liability clauses so people can't take their companies or their businesses to court if someone dies of COVID? The GOP has it all wrong. We, the people, not the millionaires or billionaires or the big corporate lobbyists, we, the people, need help. You might need help. I think it's premature that Nancy spoke like that because we don't know what the Senate runoff vote is going to turn out in Georgia is going to look like. Who is going to win in Georgia? I didn't want to bring this channel into being a political thing, but if the Senate is split 50-50 and Kamala Harris is the tie-breaking vote, then yes, maybe what Nancy Pelosi is saying is true. Maybe when we have a new president, but not only a new president, but a new Senate, can things change. And maybe there will be back unemployment going back to September. Maybe there will be $1,200 stimulus checks instead of a pittance of $600. Let's face it, what the hell does one check of $600 do for anybody? $600 does very little when people are $5,000 in arrears in rent. $600, that is a slap in every American's face. And let's face it, my daughter works for the federal government. I had a talk with her over Thanksgiving saying, hey, wait a second, you have been getting this gift of no tax, no Medicare, no Social Security tax. You haven't been paying it since September. Honey, you better save that money because that bill's going to come due in January. A lot of companies withdrew it but held on to it for their employees, and they're going to pay it when it's due. But not the federal government. The federal government gave that extra. She said it's approximately $100 a week for 16 weeks. She's going to owe $1,600. She said, Mom, I'm okay. I'll be okay. I saved that money anyway, which is not the problem. She said most of her colleagues live paycheck to paycheck, and they don't realize that they have to pay that $1,600 back. Or maybe for them, it's even more because they earn more money. There are no favors here, people. They give you money and they want to take it back. Whether it be the PPP loan, now it's taxable. PPP loan, it's not forgiven. PPP loan, you have to hire an accountant for $10,000 to figure out the paperwork to get it forgiven. So far, it's been a scramble. Americans got $1,200. Those unemployed got a $600 bonus, and good for them. They were able to pay their rent and hopefully pay down their credit card debt or any other debt with that money before now they're getting nothing. We are on a fiscal cliff. The end of the year is coming. December 26th, when most of the programs end. Unemployment ends, rent forbearance ends, student loan forbearance ends. What is going to happen if no money is given out and another stimulus? What is the alternative? I understand the debt is bad. The debt is really bad, and we just can't keep printing like this. But people, we need help. People need help. Americans need help. You can't have a country dependent on the government. But in order to get healthy again, the stimulus is needed. People are crying. You go onto Nancy Pelosi's Twitter feed and everyone's telling her to hold out. We want this, we want that. Everybody wants it. She's listening to her constituents. You go on to Mitch McConnell's Twitter page and there's people saying, F you. They're having pictures of the Grim Reaper and nothing positive. I understand. The people that want no spending, don't really care about the American people. They think that it's good for everyone. They have a job and that everyone should be working. Well, good for them. Congratulations. Not everyone is that lucky. So anyway, Alexandria, talk to me on January 5th or maybe the 6th when the Georgia runoff election tally is ready, and we can have this conversation, because if things change in the Senate, yes, I think holding off could be a good thing. All right, hang in there, everyone. Thank you so much for watching. Subscribe to this video, and I'll talk to you again real soon. Have a nice day.